Hello everyone, Olga with you. Today I'm talking about life in Ukraine for foreigners. Okay, don't tell me who will go to live in Ukraine because there is a war happening, because I'm making this video not just for right today, but just for future times, and I hope that the things in Ukraine will change to better. And if somebody is interested to watch this video, then watch. Okay, while actually I start living in other countries, I start understanding how many things of life is organized. I start noticing a lot of differences about which I didn't know before. So one of the things is apartment rent and credit history. So in UK, at least, and I know in many other European countries, if you want to rent apartment, the first thing that once you will call to agency, they will tell. First, send us your credit history kind of information, then your salary, your official salary must be 2.5 times bigger than your apartment rent that you are trying to rent. The number of bedrooms is restricted to the number of people that should live in apartment, and there is a lot of other restrictions sometimes coming related to this topic. But the things in Ukraine is totally different. First of all, nobody concerned about your income at all. Nobody will ever ask you what's your income. When you're able to pay for apartment, we don't need to know from where you're taking those money. Somehow it is like that. But it is true. This is not at all the question. Nobody will ever think to ask such question. Second thing, once you want to rent apartment, nobody restricting the amount of bedrooms. Okay, for sure some landlords, they would not want if you are, for example, 5 people and you are renting a studio apartment, or they will be concerned about actually apartment by itself. But in general, it's not restricted. Nobody really so much care how many bedrooms you would have. With all this war, with all these movements of Ukrainians all over the world, people still ask me if I can help them to find Ukrainian wife. And I just want to say that me by myself, I'm not a professional matchmaker, but you can always search in local groups of Ukrainians for some connections. Ukrainians nowadays go all over the world, and you have much better chance to meet someone. If you are still interested to search somebody online, I can recommend you Ukraine Brides, where you can actually browse the profile of the girls based on their location, and you can find Ukrainians who are already located in your country or even in your city, or just find someone who is in Ukraine. But remember that any kind of relationship, it's always your responsibility, and none of the website will give you guarantee of the relationship and love. You can check the link in the description. Third thing which we have regarding apartment rent in Ukraine is furnished apartments. Most of apartments are furnished, and unfurnished apartment, this is super rare case, and most likely you may find apartment which has very basic furniture. So it will have just bed, table, sofa, but yeah, it will not have TV, it will not have some kind of other things, extra decorations, nice carpets or whatever. So you will feel that apartment is half empty. This is usually happening when people buy new apartment and they just want to give it for rent and start earning money finally from that apartment. So they don't want to invest so much money to buy and furnish it in full, but for sure they will provide basic furniture. So this is very great case, and I decided that especially if you're a foreigner and you're coming to live in the country for 6 months or even 1 year, you don't need to go into hassle of buying furniture and so on. Even because if you're living for a very long time, maybe it makes sense and you have the furniture always the one that you like with you. But for short term, definitely I believe that furnished apartment is better, and this is what you will have in Ukraine. Okay, we are done with apartment. Let us go to the next thing, is medical care, or I would better to say medical diagnostics. So definitely Ukraine is not on the list of the best medical care or the best hospitals or whatever, at least in Europe. You have free medication here, you have great governmental programs, but the problem that you always need to wait for a long time for any kind of diagnostics unless you are dying, you know. So if you're not dying, you want to make ultrasound, you need to make some kind of blood test check for so many things, MRI. These all things in Ukraine is really cheap. So for MRI, I guess you will pay $20-30. For ultrasound, you will pay $15, $20, $10 sometimes, so it depends what exactly you want to do. And there is a lot of other diagnostics that you may need to do, and it doesn't really cost much in Ukraine compared to, for example, in UK. I checked that any ultrasound, it starts from £200, while in Ukraine, as I said, it starts something like from $10. So if you need to make a couple of checks plus blood check or whatever, it may be really beneficial for you to come on the cheap flight, do all these things, receive your test results immediately and come back and already even go to doctor with the ready results, or you will know for yourself what do you have and how critical or not critical is that. Now, if you are from US or Canada, there could be another interesting thing for you is, for example, surrogacy, IVF, stem cell treatment also. This is the things for which Americans, Canadians, so actually from all the world people are coming, but I mean that it can justify the flight to those countries, because one time I was already making video about IVF and all this fertility tourism to Ukraine. I'm not sure if you followed that video, but anyway, I know that in US this will cost you about $30,000, while in Ukraine it costs $5,000. So even if you need to spend money for the ticket about $2,000, it's still a big difference. And those clinics, they are fully like working for foreigners. They have all kind of translator, or they can staff who speak not just English, this is for sure, but they speak so many different languages. They have full support from meeting you from the airport to placing you, so it's totally oriented for foreigners. They have nice modern equipment, they have so many great reviews. So if you're thinking about anything like that and you are in search, think about it to do in Ukraine. Once the things would be better, now you can start doing your research, making your plans, and this could be a really good option for you. Dental tourism is also on that list. By the way, there is so many programs, so many ways how you can do it. If you need to have any support, you can always contact me and my company. But in general, I'm just letting you to think about it, because if you want to do implants, for example, for dental treatment, it will cost you about $300, and I know that here it will cost something like £1,500 in UK, which in Ukraine you will pay $300 with a good professional. And if you want to do all kind of braces, for example, braces will cost you, I guess, about $2,000 for the whole treatment. So there is so many things. If you are really interested to know the specific prices, you can always contact me, but I'm giving you approximately things, because this is usually for what people are coming to do, not to do the simple treatment for the teeth, but they will go, because simple treatment can cost you from $50 per tooth, but depends how much work should be done. But mostly foreigners, they are coming to do couple of implants, couple of crowns. So crown also is about $150 to $250 per crown, and a lot of other more complicated work, which will really make a big difference. If you will finish all that work here or in your native country, it could make really a very big difference in price. Next advantage is a cheap services. Actually, everything which is done manually in Ukraine or should be done in Ukraine, it will be way cheaper than, I guess, anywhere else. So it is starting from some kind of beauty procedures, like you need some cosmetic procedures to be done, but something that really makes difference. I'm not talking about manicure, because this is something that you do and you need to redo it every 3 weeks, but something like Botox or some kind of medotherapy, laser therapy, and all these kind of things, laser ablation and so on. So these things is, those clinics usually they have really good quality equipment, expensive, and at the same time the cost of services is really cheap. Other things is if you just need to do some kind of repair of any kind of devices, it would be cheap in Ukraine. If you want to do a shoes repair, clothes repair, anything, whatever. So actually this is not for tourism that you come and do it, but if you are already living in Ukraine, whatever services you will need, you will find it always available and cheap and relatively with a good quality. Another advantage for me, at least, this is the shops are open for a long time. So most of the shops or shopping malls, they would be open till 9 p.m. at least, or it's in small cities. In bigger cities till 10 p.m. or even sometimes even 11 p.m. Supermarkets mostly is open for 11 p.m. You will never find any supermarket which is closing before. And they open also on Sundays, because in Europe, in so many places on Sundays, supermarkets are totally closed or they open for a short time. And after specific time, you will almost not find anything open in Ukraine. Any supermarket, hypermarket, a big shops will be for sure open at least till 11 p.m. And at the same time, you will always find shops around in area around you, which would be open 24/7. And it's not just in the big cities, it's in smaller cities. And the shops could be a supermarkets actually. So it's normal supermarket which is open 24/7. And anytime you need to buy something, you didn't need to think that, oh, now it's everything closed already, or if you are arriving at night or whatever. It's very convenient, really. And another thing that we have restaurants also open usually from early time to something like also 11 p.m. at least. So in some places, in some countries, or you may find that restaurants open only at night or only in the morning or only for breakfast, only for lunch and only for dinner, but they're not operating all the time. In Ukraine, they're operating all the time. They are always open. You have many of them working also 24/7, and they will be always full of people. So these things, I consider this is a big advantage of Ukraine compared to many other countries. Talking about availability of the things and how much they open, I should mention separately pharmacies. Because, for example, here I'm living in UK, in Cambridge, which is 100,000 people. So it's not really a small city, but the nearest pharmacy to me is something like 15 minutes drive by car. And I'm living in the city, not outside even. But in general, there is not much pharmacies that I used to have. Because in Ukraine, you feel that pharmacy is literally on every corner. You know, just stay anywhere, look around yourself, and definitely you will find some pharmacy. So first, that pharmacies are always very available. We always have so much different medicines available in the pharmacy. And the third thing, which here I discover in UK, and you just need to tell me if there is anything like that in other countries as well, that we always have pharmacies which works 24/7, and this is not one pharmacy for the whole Kiev, for example, or something like that. No, that would be, again, if you will stay in your small quarter, within 15 minutes walk of any location in the Ukraine, whatever you are located. For sure, if you are in city, for sure you will find pharmacy which works 24/7. This is for sure. In Cambridge, for example, here there is no pharmacy which works after 7 p.m. Not just 24/7. After 7 p.m. they're not working. On weekends they're not working. They're not working on holidays and so on. So sometimes it's not possible to find anything. And if you really need some medicine, they suggest you go to emergency. And just the last thing, that Ukraine is pretty digitalized. We have so many applications for everything. For taxi, for delivery, for companies, for any kind of services. Whatever actually service you want to sign up, you will most likely have some online form where you can do all this online. For doctor or for whatever, really. So even for doctors here, they write you that you can do this online in UK, but I notice whatever I will try to go online, at the end, after you will fill a lot of things, they will say, you need to call us. And in Ukraine, no. Always, whatever you open, you will find available appointments, book for any time you want, book for any services you want, for barbershop, for beauty salons, for manicure, for medical services, taxi, and so on and so on. So that's the things which is great also in Ukraine. It could be also very beneficial for foreigners. Okay, to not make it all look so much beautiful, for sure I need to mention some negative things which we have in Ukraine. I will not like focus on them a lot because my video is already long, but just main things which I consider could be really negative things in general for foreigners. So first of all, this is lack of English language. This is definitely very bad, and even with this all war and movement of people to abroad, I don't think that situation will really change so much, because not so many people move to English-speaking countries in reality to tell that they will all learn and come back to Ukraine speaking English. So yeah, if you are living in big city, you will face it a bit less, but you will face it in many places that people still don't speak English. But if you are going to some kind of smaller cities, this could be really a problem, because really people don't know English at all, you know, even in the basic level. So for sure it can make it a bit not convenient. Another thing which I consider, that we have not much international food and brands. So if you used to eat specific brands, cookies, chocolates or whatever, but if you have some specific needs, you may not find it. From another side, I see that even in not in every European country you can find whatever you want, so maybe this is expected things. And the last thing, it's not the best public transportation. So from one side we have it, but from another side it so much depends from where to where you want to go. So if you want to go somewhere between major cities, you can find some pretty comfortable trains, for example, or buses. But if you want to go from one city to some kind of smaller area, you may fall into local buses, which is terrible, which doesn't follow a timetable, which is, you know, you feel that they are from the old age, not just the whole bus from the old age, the whole system, how you need to go buy ticket, how you need to manage the things. Not always you can guarantee the seat for you, even if you buy tickets. Sometimes you might need to stand all the way and so on. There is so many things, so the public transportation is a big problem somehow. For Ukrainians, we used to it, we know it, and we just accept what we have. But for foreigners, some things may be really shocking. So I told you, it depends from where you need to go, But yeah, it's not always nice, so you can expect that it could be really bad. You need to be ready that it could be really bad, especially if you want to go from city to any smaller city, between regions and so on. And if there is people who was traveling somewhere around, they can exactly confirm that yes, not always public transportation is something that you can consider that this is a good one. I hope this video was interesting for you. If you have what to add or comment regarding my points, you are most welcome to write, because I guess your inputs would be useful for other people who is watching the channel and searching for information for themselves. Thanks for watching this video. Bye bye.